It's July 18th. I'm in Florida, but today we're painting a winter scene, and all of those snowflakes were not painted in. How about that? It's kind of cool. They are the white from the paper. So I had to paint the sky and the water. And as you watch the video, you'll see and hear that I didn't know what I was doing. But I think I like the way it came out. And I have a poem. I'm going to read it to you now because I was just so involved with doing the painting that I didn't read the poem while I was doing the painting. So let me read it to you. It's from Robert Frost, stopping by woods on a snowy evening. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. You will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. I think I actually used this poem on another video. I don't know. But anyway, let me show you how I painted this one. All right, here we go. All right, good morning. I'm ready to go. I got my coffee, my decaf coffee, and I got my clean water. And I'm nervous about today's painting because I want it to be a snowy scene, and you can tell I'm doing it in the portrait style instead of the landscape style. So what I want to do is well, it's going to be a mountain back there, but I don't need to pencil it in. I just want a little house right here. A little house. I just want to begin to make the sense of a little tiny cottage, maybe. It has lots of windows and golden, warm light coming from the inside. It's kind of what I'm hoping to create the illusion of, or the image of. So little tiny areas up here. Maybe there's more over here. So I know it's July 18th, and I know there's no sign of winter anywhere. Well, maybe there is in the South Pole, North Pole, the Southern Hemisphere. But the idea here is to just begin to create a winter card. And because, well, cards take time. I average about one a day, I guess, or maybe 5 a week, maybe not one a day. But I average 5 a week or so. And at that rate, it's going to take a long time if I wait till the last minute to do winter cards or Christmas cards. So I'm just doing it now. And I have no idea what this house is. I'm just kind of trying to sketch it in. And I want this to be by a lake, so we get the reflection. So there's that. And then there's the edge of the lake, I guess. Okay. And then down here, I don't have to really sketch it, I just got to remind myself with a few pencil marks of where everything is. All right, now the fun part, the part I'm nervous about. The part I'm nervous about. I want the sky not to be gray, but to be like a dark, deep blue. Let's see, what color do I have here? Whenever I have my coffee next to my water, I always almost hit the coffee. Let's see. I'm trying to get this deep, deep blue. But of course I want to start with a lighter color. All right, so I'll use that one, I think. Let's just get deep, deep blue. Okay, now here's the part I'm nervous about, because I want to put lots of snowflakes in here. So I'm going to put lots of little areas that the white paper shines through, peeks through. So I know there are very large snowflakes, but I just want to do that. Just bring it everywhere. Let the watercolor do its thing. Just try to get lots of white areas. And this is why I'm nervous about this, is because I have no idea how this is going to look. I don't know if I'm going to overdo it. I guess it doesn't matter if I overdo it, because I can always paint over it. But what I want to do is create this sense that there's a lot of white things floating in the sky, or floating from the sky. And then at the same time, I want to gradually change the color from this shade of blue to another shade. So let me do that right now. Let's see. Not sure if this is going to work. I think I experiment a lot with my art, and I don't ever know how it's going to turn out. Sometimes I like them right away, sometimes I like them a week later. Some paintings I just never like, so I don't get it right every time. And then there's times when I just don't like what painting I did, but somebody else does. So I can never really understand what makes for a good painting. Some of you have written me to ask about painting, like classic paintings, like paintings from Monet, or paintings from an established artist from the past. I know a lot of people do that, and a lot of people do that and say that it helps them learn how to paint. That's probably true. That's probably true. Can I tell you a little bit about my background in art? First of all, I started out life, of course, as we all did as a kid, and I didn't have any background. I was just always drawing. So the truth is that the art seems to come naturally for me. It wasn't the most popular thing to be good at, by the way, especially as a big kid. I was a big kid, so pretty much everybody thought I should be good at sports, and I really wasn't. But that's not where I want to go with this conversation. I want to tell you about my older teenage years, because in school, once it was already established that I had some art skills. Now, I never went to college, just so you know. That's something I maybe regret, but it is what it is, right? As they say. So, but I did go to high school, of course. And in high school, I took some art classes. And I'm a kid from the 60s, and I grew up in New York. So those things established will explain maybe what I'm about to tell you. Is that in art class in my era, art students, and I was one of them, were basically being groomed to be commercial artists. In other words, working for advertising agencies. And there were a number of things that we were kind of learning, I guess, or being taught. Same thing, right? And one of the things that was constantly a subject matter for us in the classroom was food. You had to learn how to paint food. A picture of a piece of cake was my favorite. You know why? Because they actually brought out a piece of cake. I forgot about this till yesterday. Robin's mother made some cake, and it looked just like the cake I remembered from high school. And absolutely, I think they made the cake in the school. I think what did they call the girls thing? It was, well, mostly girls back then anyway. Home economics. I think the girls in home economics made the cake. And so every artist in the room got a piece of cake, but not to eat. Well, not yet anyway. We ate it at the end. But it was to paint the picture of the cake. It was a challenge, you know. It seems like a simple thing. But eventually, if you had a job at an advertising agency painting food, it had to look good. I mean, basically, somebody's asking you to paint a picture of something because they want to sell you, like the Duncan Hines cake box or something, you know. And then there was also drinks. So they would put colored water into like fancy glasses, like something you might drink wine out of, or a harder whiskey or something. They wouldn't put any whiskey in front of us, but they would put colored water. And then our job was to paint it, and with the ice cubes. Yes, and the ice cubes were not always, they were a challenge. We should do that one day. I'll do that. But anyway, the ice cubes were the challenge. And then at the end, you know, you're supposed to do the best you can to create a picture that would be used by an advertising agency. And I did pretty well in that class. I always had the feeling that they were grooming me toward working on Madison Avenue. If you're familiar with New York back in those days, anyway, I don't know if it's still true. But Madison Avenue was pretty much where all the advertising agencies, the big ones, were. And I couldn't even tell you the name of any of them. Do you know what I remember, though? I remember, well, two things come to mind. I think, remember the TV show Bewitched? I think the husband, I think he worked at an advertising agency somewhere. I'm not really sure. But the other thing I remember was this, that back then we were told that photography was taking over. Even though photography had been around a long while, I guess artists were still being used for things like cake and drinks and everything. So we were told that photography was taking over, but it would not take over with underwear. I know, does that sound silly? That underwear would still be done by artists. But you could not paint a picture of a model, a man or a woman, wearing the underwear. But you had to paint the underwear as if it was floating, as if it is being worn by somebody, but it's just floating there. So it's in 3 dimensions, kind of, you know, it's done with perspective in mind and all that. And basically it was like floating underpants and floating undershirts, and everything was floating because they couldn't show the model in the undergarment. All right, so that was probably what killed it for me, because I was trying to imagine myself like the rest of my life, because they were telling us that photography was going to take over everything else. So I'm thinking, wait a minute, my whole life I'm going to be painting underwear, floating underwear? And I didn't want to do that. As you can probably tell, I kind of like doing landscapes. And I kind of like doing things that look artsy, like impressionistic art. I like impressionistic, which I guess is what I'm doing right now. I don't know. I have no idea if this is going to look like snow falling or not. Just keep putting these little dots everywhere. Anyway, so that's kind of my background in my early years of art. So it killed it for me, and then I basically did other things. Like I was always interested in music, so, but I don't necessarily want to tell you my whole life story right now. But the interesting takeaway from that is to try to explain maybe the difference between illustrator and artist. And maybe that's why I'm more of an illustrator than an artist. I think a lot of you are artists. I've looked at your work online, on the Facebook page, the Facebook group, whatever you call that thing. And some of you are outstanding. Oh, everybody is kind of outstanding in a way. And some of you are perhaps more like me. You're an illustrator. And some of you are way better than me at the illustration idea. And then others of you, I've noticed, are artists. And you have very artistic approaches. So, we're all different, you know. And maybe that's why I kind of steer away from doing replications of famous works of art. It's because I want to be able to be as good as those artists, but at the same time, I want to have my own style and my own everything. I want people to look at the art and say, that looks like something Poppa did, or something Larry did, or whatever name you want to use for me. My grandson calls me Poppa, and when I painted a card last week for my son's birthday. And thank you for the kind comments, by the way, on that video. But when my grandson saw the card, because we had all the gifts in a bag, and my grandson saw the card in the bag, and he says to his daddy, my son, he says, "Poppa painted you a card." He's only 5 years old, 5.5, and he was able to recognize my style. And that made me feel so good. It was really a nice feeling, knowing that somehow I reached to him in his young years, and he knows what my art looks like. It's interesting, isn't it? Kids can be so smart. I like to encourage everything when I see a child. All right, let's get back to this. So, as you can see, I am meticulously avoiding. Now, there is an easier way to do this, and I've never done it. I've watched videos. There's masking fluid you can buy, and you can put all of these dots on the masking fluid. I mean, all of these dots with masking fluid on the paper, and then just paint over it. And then, when you're all done, you can peel them off or rub them off, or however that works. And yeah, it'll look like snow, I guess, or stars, or something. I'm not sure what. Now, here's the thing. I'm coming up to the house now, so I want to keep. I'm really trying to do this without depending on gouache after the fact, but you know me, I almost always go back to gouache. And of course, snowflakes will be falling on the house too, or in front of the house. So I'll handle that when I get there, I guess. I have no idea what I'm doing. Once again, I don't know what I'm doing. But I kind of like the way the sky's looking. What do you think? It's got the watercolor look for sure. Lots of white dots. I know there are easier ways to paint snow, but I just thought I would try this. I got up extra early today so I could do this. I knew this was going to take time. And thank you for the comments, by the way, about the long videos, because I like the long ones, but I also often scrub through them and just go to the parts that I find interesting or that I can benefit from or that answer some questions for me. It all depends on the video. And by the way, if you didn't already see it, in the community tab of the channel, the Poppa Paints channel, in the community tab yesterday, I posted a list of 21 other YouTubers who also do videos on painting or drawing or art in general. And that's some of the artists I also watch on YouTube. And I made them all easy to click on. So you can click on them and then go to their pages and learn from them or be inspired by them. And some of them are so good. And they're not all watercolor. There are a couple of ladies on there. Karen Margulis is one, and Susan's channel is called Monet Cafe, and those two ladies do incredible work with pastel. They're both so good. There's a lot of artists on YouTube, so just go to the ones that help you or maybe relax you. I know some people watch the videos. They say that they're relaxing. It is relaxing. It's relaxing to paint. You know? I get up, I get my coffee. It's a very nice thing. Not that I need to relax first thing in the morning, but I guess it's what I do. I guess it's who I become. It's who I have become. Not doing a whole lot of painting on the back of the card. So this being a vertical or a portrait card, it's kind of different for me. I usually do the landscape or orientation or whatever you say, with the card turned the other way. So it is not cold outside. Oh, I got a little story to tell you. When I was, years ago, probably 30 years ago, my son was 9 years old. Now he's 38. So wow, that's a long time ago. But anyway, I wrote a book. I wrote a book because my son loved reading, so I wanted to write a book. And I wrote a book, like a fantasy book for a 9-year-old. And it's called Oreo and Braun. Oreo and Braun, that's what it's called. Zob, the Full Circle Quest. Anyway, a lot of that story takes place in the winter, but I was writing it in the summer, And I was sitting inside the radio station writing it. I was not on the air, of course. It was my off time, but I was still at my desk. And that's where I sat and I wrote the book. And when I went outside, after writing about winter, it felt like I was in winter. And then when I went outside, it was so hot. It was like a contrast because I had just been, in my mind, I had been in a winter place. And in the real world, it was a summer place. Well, the same thing is probably true with painting a winter scene. on a July day in Florida. It's going to make me feel like it's winter. So this will be my second winter or Christmas card this year. I did one a few weeks ago or whatever. So I'll spread them out a little bit, because it does get, if you stick to one thing all the time, it kind of gets old. It kind of gets redundant feeling. But you know what? I never really get tired of landscapes. I always like landscapes. I have an assignment to illustrate a book. It's not a book that Robin wrote. It's a book we got the assignment. I got the assignment from a publisher. So I have to work on that in the afternoon, and I'm doing that with my on digital. I'm doing it on Procreate on my iPad. So the instructions from the author as to what he wants in the picture is so detailed, and the book is only going to be 5.5 inches by what would it be, by 8.5 inches, right? I think it is. It's like an 8.5 by 11 folded in half. I think that's the best way to describe it. So it's a small area. I don't paint it small, by the way. When I do the digital, I paint them large, and then we shrink them down. But knowing that eventually it'll be a small picture, and with all of the detail he wants, it's like, ay. Yeah, it's a challenge for me, absolutely. But it's okay. It's kind of my job. Even though I'm retired, I still do stuff to make money. But not the cards. The cards, I know a lot of you have asked about making money with the cards, and I do. I'm not going to say I don't. But, you know, I guess you could really work it so that this was your full-time income. I don't know. But I like giving them away. I don't know. It's just fun. Oh, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty fun. Now what am I going to do down here? Should I just keep doing that? I guess I should. I'm not really sure how to approach this. You know what? I'll just keep doing it like that. I'll just keep doing it. Yeah, I think I'll just keep doing it like that. Because why not? Why wouldn't the snow flakes be visible over the water? See, this is going to be the water with the reflections. So this is not reflections of the snow. This is actual snow in front of the lake. All right, well, we're learning at the same time as each other. So let's look at the clock. So I've been going 26 minutes with this one. So see, sometimes you can do a whole landscape in a half hour if it's an easy landscape. But you know, I'm taking my time with these snowflakes. See, and the snowflakes will be in front of the house, and they will also be in front of the reflection of the house, but I haven't decided yet how I want to do that. What I do want to do is I want to make sure I have this contrast of warm and cool. I wonder what the kids in school are learning now. So let me go back to the conversation I was having with you earlier regarding the way that the schools were grooming the young artists to be illustrators in an advertising agency. That is exactly what was happening back then. But that was before there was anything called video games. And video games, I think, changed everything for artists. It made it a lot better. Not only that, but video games, video production, movies, etc., also changed things, because all of a sudden, movie studios were asking for matte paintings, and I know matte paintings were not new, but they started playing a larger role. Especially when companies like Disney were doing everything from the art perspective. That's what Disney was famous for. It was for art, and so when they could see the beautiful landscapes that artists could create, then rather than making them movie sets, they would ask artists to create these settings for real movies, movies with real actors in them instead of cartoon actors. And so the two worlds came together. But now, because of artificial intelligence, I wonder, because money is usually the ruling consideration. Money. So if a movie studio or a video game production company can work with artists who use artificial intelligence instead of a brush like I'm doing, then it possibly makes it a lot cheaper for them rather than paying all the artists. I don't know. I'm not in that world anymore. But I put on that list, list of 21 different artists that I watch on YouTube, and one of them is Aaron Blaise. And Aaron Blaise has a huge background in working in the movies, and he's so good at everything. I mean, Aaron Blaise is just absolutely marvelous. I would watch his videos if you were interested in learning animation and anything really. He's really good at animals, and in fact, I think he calls himself a creature art teacher, I think. So yeah, if you go to his channel, Aaronblaise, that's how you spell his name, and he probably has information for anybody looking to work in the video production or video game production. He probably knows the answers to all those questions. So I would go to him. I actually tried my hand at animation because Procreate has a program called Dreams. It is so good. I love it. But I'm not good at it. No. I tried making a little animated cartoon and it was so stupid looking. It didn't look fun at all. No, I'm sticking with this. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I do not agree with that. You can teach an old dog, well, I don't know about a dog, but you can teach an old person a new trick, absolutely. It's just the willingness to learn that's not there for me. I don't really see myself doing a whole lot of cartoons. I know what you're thinking. If my grandson wanted a cartoon made by Poppa, he probably would do it. Yeah, but it would come out crappy. It wouldn't be good. It would not be a good cartoon. Cartoons are so different nowadays, right, than what they used to be. They're so 3D looking. So, anyway. Yeah, my snowy card is looking snowy. What do you think? I think I know it's a long process, but I kind of like the way it's coming out. Let's hope the whole thing looks good when it's done, and not just a card with a bunch of white dots on it. But see, I like the way the colors are not all the same. I'm going back and forth between like a green and a blue-green. And I'm also varying, like sometimes I get the brush wet and sometimes dry. I don't know if you can tell I'm doing that. Sometimes it's drier than other times. But it looks pretty cool. Looks very snowy. I'm curious how long this is taking me. Let's see. 33 minutes and 45 seconds since I started the video. And most of that time has been spent doing this. So once this dries, then I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. So you have seen the opening video, because I always do that last. So you know what it looks like, but I don't. I really don't know what this is going to look like. I have it in my mind what I want it to look like, but that's right. Do you agree with this? When you're doing a painting, it never looks like what you had in mind. Maybe there's some exception to that, but for me anyway, I mean, if you're doing a portrait, then I guess it does, because you're doing a picture of somebody who has an exact look. But even with them, sometimes it might not exactly look like what you had in mind, as long as the person looks like the person. I did sketches of people when I was younger too. I worked in the resorts by the theme parks, and I would sit there and I would do charcoal sketches of people. And I was hired one time to do a party, and it was like a six-hour gig, and I tried to get every sketch in 15 minutes. So you can imagine that. I mean, that was just that was very hard work. But anyway, so I had this couple that wanted to have both of themselves in the painting. I mean, in the sketches. Well, I did the lady first, and then I left room for the man. And I remember his name too. They called him Uncle Bobby. So Uncle Bobby sat down for me to paint, to sketch his face. And I was doing it too small. See, I had already done the wife, and so Uncle Bobby was not quite the right size. So his head was too small. So I realized I had made a mistake, so I went back. It's hard to erase charcoal. Well, it's almost impossible to erase charcoal. But anyway, I tried to erase it, and it did not look good. Oh my goodness, I did not get Uncle Bobby looking good. Uncle Bobby looked bad. I mean, he was a mess. And this was toward the end of the day, and I was so tired, and I actually became giddy. Like I laughed at what it looked like. And Uncle Bobby said to me, "What's so funny?" And I just couldn't hold it in. I kept laughing. So the grandmother from the family came over to look at it, and she started laughing. Well, that made me laugh even more. Then people came around me to laugh, to look, and they all laughed. And it's like, oh my gosh. See, I had his wife looking really good, but he had a small head, and it didn't look like him at all. It was horrible. And he was so curious. What is everybody laughing at? he was a good sport about it, because when I showed it to him, his eyes bugged out like, what the heck is that? So, all right, now I am so stuck as to what to do. I think I need to let it dry, although it's really almost dry. All right, let me just keep working on it. All right, now, shoes, I'm a little bit confused about what to do here. Let me try some light. I don't know what I want to do here. Let me try and do some, I think I'll try to keep it blue on the ground, but like a really dark blue. Maybe almost black. And I want the snow to have fallen here. So this is not just, oh, I know what I can do. Let me do the eaves of the house, the underside. Whoops, that's a little bit too blue. I want it to be more black or brown. See if I can get these browns and these reds in here. There we go. That sort of looks good. Get everything looking better. Let me get some over here. Let me see if I can make this look more dirty. I want that to look dirty. Right here. See, I want that light coming through there. Okay. A couple of areas here I can still do. The roof of the house should probably be light blue when I'm all done with it. So it'll look like a snow-covered roof. And then down here is also going to be some of that roof, some of that darkness. There. And some little windows over here. The light from the windows coming through. I can always add some orange on there. Alright, now let's try and get some light blue for the snow. Let's see. Get the blue I want. This blue. Let's get that very light. Super watered down. use a different set of paint. Maybe this is a better blue here. Alright, let's try that. Very dark. We want the snow here. And I also want the roof of the house to be blue. Very light blue. Hope it's still in focus, the camera. Okay, now let me get that little brush and I think I want to accentuate some of that orange glow and just get some better orange in there, like right there in the middle. Different areas of the house where the light is reflecting in the water. Make it brighter in some areas and darker in others. Just keep adding a little bit of orange here. Right there. All right, now I'm going to add some darker tones to this underside of this roof, or the eave of the house. Get this reflection in here. Some of these windows a little bit darker. Actually, it's not the windows that are dark, it's the frames of the windows that are dark. The windows are bright, I think. I don't know what I'm looking at. Maybe I'm wrong. See that paint right there, still wet right there. So you see what I mean when I say illustration, because if you think about what I'm doing right now, I'm doing an illustration. It always looks so quaint to have a cottage in the snow. It always looks like it would be such a comfortable, beautiful experience. I've never had that experience. I've slept in cabins though, not in the snow. That would be something. Well, that's not too bad. That kind of looks like a house, I guess, with snow on it. What do you think? I don't know, that's coming there, it should be there. I think there's our thing. Alright, let me add some more. I don't even know what colors I got here in this one. Let me add some more here. Maybe a few just areas. I kind of don't like that brown. I kind of want it to be blue. I think I want everything to be a shade of blue. So let me try and get that brown up, or minimized. What is this? Oh, that's a nice dark blue. Okay, I can use that. I think I'll make the water down here a little bit darker than the sky. There's lots of areas in the snow that are not perfectly flat. And I think down here we can possibly get away with making some darker areas in the water. And I'm being very careful to not paint over all those snowflakes that I put in there. Alright, well that's starting to look pretty good. How much time? 49 minutes. Because you know what I'm thinking I want to do? I think I want to put some trees in here. Alright, here we go. Let me make trees. Start real tall here. Make sure I don't touch those snowflakes. That's kind of looking nice. I think I see where it's going. Oh yeah. Ooh, that's working out nice. It's looking pretty good. I mean, that little tree, or that big tree. Wow, that's looking pretty good. I think we discovered a way to make a cool winter illustration. It's not quick, but it's pretty cool. Yeah, and then you got the contrast here with the house and the tree. And the tree's gigantic next to the house. I think I'm using a little bit of green, a little bit of blue. What do you think of that? Whoa, look at that. You like that? And then of course I'm going to have to do the same thing down here to make a reflection. Oh, what do you think? What do you think? I appreciate you watching this with me, or watching this with me while I'm doing it. I appreciate you sticking around. Oh my goodness. I still have a poem, by the way, to read to you. I have a poem, but I don't want to stop to do the poem. Maybe I'll do the poem in the opening part. Maybe you already heard the poem. Yeah, I think I'll just keep working on it because it's such a meticulous thing that, to be honest with you, it's not needing to be dry. Like it's already dry. Like by the time I get to the next part. But look at that tree. Look how that looks. It looks all right. So it's that high, so it means it has to come way down to here in the reflection. Right? It goes all the way up to here and all the way over to here. Oh my goodness. I think we just invented a really cool way of doing a winter scene. I mean, think about it. You could do it a different way. You could just paint it and then you could use gouache. I don't know sometimes I think when I put white gouache on something, it doesn't look as brilliant as just if the paper was shining through. I think the paper shining through is the key. And you know what? As I mentioned earlier, and some of you have probably done this, you're probably 10 steps ahead of me. You've probably used that masking fluid to do this very same thing. I don't know. I bet that would work, though. That probably would work. But I kind of like the way that looks. And it definitely looks like a reflection in the water. Oh gosh, should I do another tree? I kind of like that look. I didn't put a mountain in here either. I should have. Alright, let me do another tree. Just keep avoiding those white dots. And you don't gotta paint every single branch of the tree. Just, oh gosh, look at that. That's looking really good too. I keep thinking when I have an idea that I'm going to mess it up. But I think that looks alright. Okay, now let's put the reflection in the water. Or the ice. What do you think? This is a frozen lake? Maybe it's frozen. I don't know. It's snowing. You ever watch videos of those guys that go fishing in the ice? They cut a hole in the ice? Wow, that looks like fun. I'd be nervous I'd fall in. But it does look like fun. And some of those guys, they don't just like sit on the ice. They actually have a little cabin they built over the ice. Alright, I'm just going to add more trees. I'm just going to go crazy here. Add trees. More trees. What do you think here? Maybe just a little bit more, like little shadows here for the snow. Well, kind of like that. Kind of like it. There's really no need to add any gouache, I don't think. Well, I think I'm done. I think I'm going to call it done. 56 minutes. That's not too bad. Now let me mess up the background. Alright, I gotta get my brushes off of there. I don't know why I pull all these brushes out and then I only end up using 2. Seems like I have 2 brushes I use all the time. Alright, I'm smearing it now. Smear like cream cheese on a bagel. I have no rhyme or reason for the background. I did have somebody write to me and ask about why I don't tape it off. And I told him that, or her, I told that person that I don't know why. But here's the funny thing about it is I kind of just do it, and the idea that it will definitely make it look like a cleaner line. But you know, when you fold it, it becomes a cleaner line too, so. Alright, let's not let the water get on the side of the card. That's the card. We want the card to look nice. The back of the card can be abstract. Just smear it everywhere. Alright, now we're going to let it dry. And I'm just going to let it dry. What do you think about that? Is that alright? Are the trees okay? Should I make them darker? I hate to do this to you, but I think I'm going to add a little bit more darkness to them. Just a little bit. Just a little bit of darkness to the bottoms of them. Hopefully I don't mess it up. I just think I want them, from a compositional point of view, to be weighted down. Just a little bit of maybe darker shadows, both in the reflection and on the tree itself. You know what we could do too? We could use this technique to do like Christmas lights on a tree. You see what I mean? Because then we could color in each one of those white dots. We could color it in with like red or... Yeah, I think that little bit of darkness does help. I think so. Maybe a little bit more under the eave of the house. But in the trees, I really think so. Yeah. It's okay. And then down here. It's almost like pointillism at this point. Pointillism at this point. Okay, a little bit more. I don't want to do too much. I just want to add a little bit of darkness, and the darkness is black. I'm using black paint. It could have been a mistake, but I think it's working out. Yeah, it just kind of bounces a little bit, I think. Alright, that's the end. Alright, I'm going to let it dry and I'm going to fold it. I'll be right back after it dries. Okay, now it's dry. Let's fold it and put that nice clean line on the left side of the painting. Okay, well there's the finished card. Oh, I didn't quite fold it right. Looks like it's off center. Alright, well whatever. There you go. There's our finished card. What do you think? Looks like a snowy day someplace. And that's what I wanted it to look like, a snowy day someplace. Alright, thank you for watching. That was like a whole hour. Alright, talk to you later. Bye.